so long. You hear what I'm saying? It would just take so long. He could smell the roast, he could smell the greens, the cornbread, the sweet potatoes. The aroma would fill the house long before it's at the dinner table. And he could smell it, and he would run into the kitchen and ask, Grandma, is it ready yet? And she would smile and look up and simply say, no, not yet. And he'd leave and come back 5 minutes later. Is it ready now? Because he could smell it. And she would laugh and say, no, not yet. A little while later, he would ask, what? Peace. Because he could smell it, but it yet was not ready. Now understand, he wasn't impatient because he was disrespectful. No, he was impatient because he was hungry. You know when you smell it, it hits you. And then it make everything just start to, now he can't, he not being disrespectful, but he's now hungry. And from where he stood, if it smelled done, it ought to be done. You hear what I'm saying? If it smelled done, then it ought to be done. But Grandma knew something that he didn't, and that was the aroma wasn't proof it was finished. For the boy, the aroma meant it must be done. It smelled done, it must be done. But Granny knew that the aroma is not proof that is finished, but time was doing something else that the eyes could not see. Yes. The longer it cooked, the more tender the meat would get. You know this. The longer it went on, the seasoning could reach deeper parts of the meat, and the flavor could get into the parts that it couldn't get to if you just laid it on top and said, it's all right, now I'm done. No, the longer it went, the better it got. She wasn't delaying the dinner because she wanted him to suffer. She was delaying the dinner because she wanted it to be its very best. The most tender. Taste the best. You hear what I'm saying? Yeah. Good things take time. Years later, the boy realized that some things lose their quality when they're rushed. But good things take time. And I wonder if that's how God looks at us sometimes. Every day we come to him asking, Lord, is it ready yet? Now, Lord, when is my healing coming? My miracle coming, my breakthrough coming, when my job opportunity, when will my finances turn around? When will you answer this prayer? And the Lord looks and smiles sometimes and say, not yet. And like the little boy, we get upset with the not yet because we think not yet means he don't love us, or not yet means he's forgotten about us, or not yet means he's not listening. But maybe his not yet is because he's preparing something that only time can accomplish. Because good things take time. And that brings us to Luke chapter 1, because Luke introduces us to one of the godliest couples in all of the scriptures. But Zacharias and Elizabeth lived and followed all the commandments and ordinances, and they were blameless before the Lord. They were righteous people, the godliest couple, but they had lack. Elizabeth was barren. He tells us who they were first. Right. Yes. Who they were. Now, righteous people. Yes. Blameless before the Lord. Follow his commandments. They both were righteous in God's sight, living without blame, according to the commandments and the requirements. Don't miss that. He tells us who they were first. Yes. And then Luke warns us, or he wants us to know their character before he tells us their crisis. He don't just tell us first, or they ain't no kid, and this is what he starts showing us their character before their crisis, and then almost without warning, he adds this heartbreaking statement after saying all this good stuff about them. He goes, but they had no child. But they had no child. Those words carried years of disappointment. Doing all that we supposed to do, but ain't my time yet. Doing everything I've been called to do, but still ain't got nothing to show for it. Doing everything you've asked me to do and how you've asked me to do it, Lord, but the Bible says, but they had no child. Years of unanswered prayers, years of silent tears, years of wondering, because in their culture, childlessness was not just painful, but it was assumed that God had withheld his blessing from you if you were childless. And you're telling me the people that are most righteous, most godliest, that look like God is withholding himself? How painful it must have been for Elizabeth and Zacharias, because it looked like God is not with them or for them when they're doing everything God called for them to do. Jesus, hallelujah. Oh God. Luke makes something clear here. He says that, or he makes something clear in teaching us that their barrenness was not because of their disobedience. That's why he told us their character first. Because if he just said, hey, they ain't had no child, every assumption would have been because back then that was the assumption. But he showed us the character first and then hit us with, but they had no child, to show, hey, the barrenness was not because of the disobedience. It was not because they lacked faith. It was not because God had abandoned them. They were righteousness. They were faithful. They were still waiting. They were serving and still waiting. Can I talk to somebody today? Some of the holiest people will carry some of their heaviest unanswered prayers. Some of the greatest worshipers will know what it's like to smile in public while crying in private. Some of God's most faithful servants have one area in their life that they keep asking God, Lord, is it ready yet? Come on now. Bless him, Jesus. It ain't that I lack faith. It ain't that you've forgotten me. It ain't that I ain't in right position. I'm where you want me to be. But Lord, is it ready yet? Maybe for you it isn't a child, but maybe it's healing. Maybe it's restoration. Maybe it's your marriage. Maybe it's something with your children and the salvation of them. Maybe it's the ministry God promised you, or it's freedom from grief, or a breakthrough that you've been praying for year after year. And if we're honest, waiting can feel like suffering. Waiting can make you wonder if God has forgotten your address. Waiting can make you question whether your prayers are still reaching heaven. Like, I mean, is he, hello, are you there? Can you hear me now? But Luke chapter 1 reminds us that good things take time. God was not ignoring Zechariah, but God was preparing him for history. Zechariah was praying for a son, the prophet that would announce the coming of the Messiah. See, God wasn't just answering the mail. He wasn't just answering a regular prayer. He was working on it because he's fulfilling a bigger purpose. Oh, I wish somebody felt that right there. Maybe it ain't right now because he's fulfilling a bigger purpose. Sometimes what feels like delay is